What's good, everyone? Welcome back to the show recap with Mo, where we getting ready to get into a brand new season and episode of BounceTV's own Johnson series, alright? But before we get into this thing, make sure to like and subscribe to this channel so you don't miss shiznit that's going down right here, alright? So the episode we getting ready to get into is titled Warm Welcome, alright? So the synopsis states that Omar learns more shocking information about Bianca. Greg gets out hustled by an unwanted house guest. Keith notices his neighborhood is changing and blames his local councilman. And Jarvis visits the man who claims to be his father. Now that we got that out of the way, let's go ahead and get into this thing. So we kick off this episode with Jarvis. He's getting a tattoo, but he's been a little, I ain't gonna say the word on here, but he's trying to man up, but he ain't. He's trying to man up, but he ain't that much of a man right now because the shit is hurting now, right? So then we head over to see Keith, and he's doing his yoga. So he's trying to find his zen. And moving on from there, we see Greg, who's dropping off some food. He's doing his daily duty, trying to make that money. But when he goes up to one of the cribs that he's dropping off the food, this individual just so happens to have one of those ring alarms. So when he presses the door alarm, obviously the customer is like, hey, listen, I know this is strange, but I forgot to feed my dog. So if you could, look, I'm going to go ahead and take care of you. I promise you I'm going to take care of you with the tip, but I just need you to go back there, drop the food off behind the fence, put it in the dog's plate for me, and I guarantee you're going to be all right. So, of course, Greg is like, okay, Hurricane ain't gonna bite me or nothing like that. He was like, oh, no. So anyhow, if you see this sign right here, it says beware of dogs. So anytime, I know for me, and I know this is for a show, but anytime you see beware of dog, I don't even care if it's a damn dog back there. I'm not going back there. You heard me, because I don't know what's back there. So anyhow, he goes back behind the fence, and he's going to, towards the dog's house. But while he's walking towards the dog house, he hears growling in the house or whatnot. So all of a sudden we see this dog, and Greg is trying to call Keith, which he actually does, and interrupts his whole yoga thing, right? So anyhow, this has to jump. He has to jump the fence or whatnot. So I hope it was worth it, Greg, because I don't know what you were going to do. So anyhow, going on from there, we see Omar with his son, Caleb, and he's pretty much just dropping him off at school. He's trying to tell him to stay out of trouble, listen to his teacher, stay off of YouTube. Not on my channel, though, but stay off of YouTube and, just do what you need to do so you don't get in trouble or whatnot. So his son is listening, but he's not really listening because he's feeling his new hairdo or whatnot. So I'm assuming, everything is good with he and his son and their relationship, which I'm great to see starting this episode off. And the first thing that came into my mind, since I am recapping, Tyler Perry's Sisters, I'm like, damn, this is what I've been looking for. People just having, yes, they got some drama from time to time, but it seems like they just have some good times as well. And that's all I've been asking for, Tyler. I know this isn't the Tyler Perry show, but let's go ahead and get back into it. I just thought it was a good piece and zen to just see brothers, real men, taking care of their responsibilities and just going throughout life, right? So then we see, Omar pulls up, and he pulls up over Jarvis's house. So obviously all the fellas are meeting up over there, and of course Omar notices that Jarvis got a new tattoo. So he was like, oh, you got some new ink. And of course he was like, did it hurt? He was like, no, you know what I'm saying? It was just a little bit of here. No, no, he was up there crying, bro. So anyhow, he was like, yeah, I was just trying to cover up the birthmark. So if you recall from the previous season, Jarvis found out that he potentially, everything that he had grown up to know and understand who his father was and all of that stuff. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Well, there could be a possibility that that isn't actually his father, and he actually has a brother and a father that's living somewhere else. So we're going to get into that a little bit later. So anyhow, the guys come out to meet up with Keith and Greg, who are already outside into the pool. And so they just get into a little conversation. All right. So Omar shares with them because Keith is like, hey, bro, you're a little late. What's going on? Where you been? And Omar's like, look, I went to go see Robin, my attorney, and, we're just discussing different things and whatnot. So they asked about the whole situation with Bianca and, has she decided to take the DNA test and whatnot? Because in the previous season, he found out potentially that he could have a son. All right, so we'll get into that a little bit later as well. So anyhow, he was like, look, we're waiting on it. Nothing has came from it yet, but it is what it is. So while they're in the midst of talking about his DNA test, then they switch over to Jarvis, and they was like, what about your DNA test? And Jarvis is like, hold on. We talking about Omar right now. We're not getting into this over here. And so anyhow, they was like, look, what if he is your brother? Like, what if that is factual? He was like, okay, well, we'll deal with that when we get to that, but he's also like, you guys already know that's impossible. You know my parents, my father and my mother, like, this shit cannot be true. That's what he got in his mind. So anyhow, going on from there, Jarvis is pissed off because they now are clowning him about the little fruit tray that he done brought out. Didn't know about it. They said, okay, so we birds now, like, is that what we doing? So Omar says, look, don't worry about it, fellas. I took it upon myself to order y'all some real food. So we was like, we appreciate that. And I'm saying we do appreciate that. But they're like, yeah, we appreciate that, Omar. So anyhow, Jarvis in his feelings right now. So he pushes Greg into the pool or whatnot. So when Greg falls into the pool, Jarvis immediately walks into the kitchen, and then when we go back to the pool, Greg is like flopping around like this man cannot swim at all, and he yells out, hey, help me. So of course Keith and Omar, they get up, and I was like, okay, somebody needs to jump in. So neither one of these folks can swim, man. So they was like, you jump in. They say, no, I can't swim. No, I can't swim either. So all this time they going back and forth. Greg is in there flopping around, but I'm noticing he's not going down at all. So I was like, hold on, wait a minute. And then Jarvis comes out. I'm sorry, y'all. Then Jarvis comes out and he was like, fool, stand up. And Jarvis is like, look, just stand up, man. The pool is only 4 feet high. So they was like, what? So then Greg decides to stand up, and he was like, oh, yeah, it's only 4 feet. So listen, man, I know that, as black folks, man, sometimes, it's comical because I'm crying right now, but at the same time, hey, y'all, it's all right to learn how to swim. You know what I'm saying? So it's crazy because as I'm watching this show, I know some folks grown as hell right now that just don't care to learn how to swim, don't want to know nothing about no swimming. If that water get over their kneecaps, they go have a whole, if it ain't tub water, then they gonna have a whole fit right there at the pool. I'm just trying to tell you, get in the kiddie pool next time. I agree. So, and then another thing to me is, we as black folks, we always like to be around the pool, but we don't want to get in it. You know what I'm saying? So, like I said, man, I thought that was hilarious. So anyhow, going on from there, going on to a serious note. So we head over to Omar's house, where Omar is warming up something, obviously in the microwave. He's getting ready to grub when he hears a knock at the door. It just so happens to be Ice. Ice is looking for Bianca Torres. They're asking him, has he heard anything from her? And Omar's like, no. And they was like, okay, from our reports, it shows that you are the father of her child. And he was like, well, I can't really confirm that at this time. So they was like, okay, on a real note, just let us know so you can stay out of trouble. Let us know if something is going down, if you hear anything from her, because of the credit card fraud that she did. She was arrested for it, but she never showed up to court. So they're looking for her to, possibly be deported back to her country. So anyhow, going on from there, we head over to Jarvis's crib, where we see Greg is now packing his bags, and obviously he's been there for a while because Jarvis lets it be known that, hey, I'm glad to see you leaving. You've been here about 30 days. Jarvis is like, look, I'm appreciative for you allowing me to crash on your couch. And he's obviously renting his house out. So Jarvis is like, look, are you really making that much money from leasing out your house or whatnot? He was like, yeah. So anyhow, going on from there, Jarvis sits down and has a real heart-to-heart conversation with him because he's obviously concerned about some of the things that he's been hearing going on. So he conveys to him that he's heard his phone calls with a young lady by the name of Laquita. So of course Greg is like, you been listening to my phone calls or whatnot? He was like, no, I'm just a little concerned of the fact that ever since your girl, things haven't been right. You've been hopping from girl to girl to girl, and I'm just trying to make sure you're good because you know and understand that hurt people hurt people. And that's very true. You just need to take the time to get yourself together before you hop into another relationship. That's why oftentimes I don't believe in all of that, those rebounds, because those rebounds aren't beneficial to anyone in the relationship. You're just getting into a relationship to get over your significant other that you were just with. But in the long run, you haven't taken the time out to heal yourself. And people can be hurt and all of that. But anyhow, long story short, Jarvis is telling him all of this, and Greg realizes this, but at the same time, he's telling Jarvis, hold on, man, don't you got something that you got to be dealing with yourself? See, that's what I'm talking about. Jarvis is able to see what he's doing, but Greg is like, hey, you still dealing with this whole Lisa situation and all this other stuff that you're going through emotionally as well. So anyhow, going on from there, we see Keith. Now, Keith is walking in his neighborhood with groceries, and he notices his landlord, obviously by the name of Rich, outside. He's posting up these signs or these letterheads outside of the doors or whatnot. So of course, Keith is a little bit concerned because he was like, hey, hopefully we got hot water. Whoa. Rich is like, oh, look, the hot water is great. So that's not what I'm handing out right now. What I'm posting up on these doors right now is the fact that we're getting ready to increase your rent. So when Keith looks at the paper, it tells him that the rent is going up by $429. So Keith is like, what the hell? Like $429? And not Keith, but Rich is like, look, due to gentrification, we could talk about that all day. Maybe we need to have gentrification is changing everything across the board. I know here in Nashville, man, that, it's crazy. I remember growing up here and the skyline, everything was so very different. And I know, cities evolve, they change, but when you come to this city now, it's like we are almost like it's oh my gosh, it is crazy. The traffic is crazy. The tourism is crazy. It's just all over the place. And the hood is no longer the hood. The hood is gone. Like literally, man, when you go to the hood that used to be there, you can't even recognize it. And it's pros and cons to it. I just wish that we could keep those neighborhoods that were at one time black. I wish that some black entrepreneurs, some black investors could have invested their money, our money, back into those communities to keep it black, but make it look good. You hear what I'm saying? Because it shouldn't take other people coming into the community that we grew up in and that we love and, own for, decades to come in and change it. And one of the things that Rick here says in this on this scene right here. Keith is like, well, what should I do? What can I do? And Rich tells him, hey, you need to reach out to your politicians. And that's so very true. We need to get out and vote. When people tell you, oh, don't vote, they're telling you not to vote for a reason. You see what I'm saying? And I'm not trying to make this a political thing, but real talk, if you want to make changes in your community, you need to focus on the local, councilmen and all those people. Those are the ones that's passing bills and changing laws in your community. Those are the people that's going to affect you directly. Anyway, let me go ahead and get off of that because we could talk about that the whole show as well. So going on from there, we see Greg, who comes to his house. Let me say that again. He comes to his house. He comes in and he sees shit all over the place. So of course Greg is like, what the hell is going on? And so he goes into the kitchen. He sees all these bills and with another person's name on it with his address. So he was like, what the hell? What are all these bills doing here, right? So when he's looking at the bills, old boy comes out the back with a robe on. So he was like, hold on, wait a minute. I know you ain't got on my robe. He's like, yeah. He said, like, they came out of the closet. I told you not to go in. He was like, oh, yeah. Yeah, see, that's why you can't trust people with your stuff for real. Because people don't respect your shit. Like, there's no way in the world I could lease out my house and leave my stuff there because I'm so finicky about my stuff, right? So anyhow, long story short, Greg is like, look, you were supposed to be out 2 days ago. Old boy's like, oh, okay, yeah, well, about that, I decided to stay here a little bit longer. So Greg is like, hold on, but I need you to get up out of here like on immediate. This is my house. So old boy turns around and he says, oh, okay. And then he says, but I can't do that, and I'm not going to do that. He was like, what you mean? He said, I'm from Chicago, shawty. I was like, uh-oh. He said, I'm from Chicago. Greg is like, okay, what is that supposed to mean? You from Chicago? Old boy said, no, I got 30 days. You got to give me 30 days to get up out of here. But he said, as of right now, I'm getting ready to make me some breakfast and make me some eggs and some ketchup. Now, I ain't going to lie. I chuckled on that thing, but you know what? Ketchup and eggs be fine. Or some hot sauce. Oh, yeah, that'd be fine in a mug. But anyhow, going on from there, Greg is like, okay, I want to sleep in my bed. He was like, cool, you can sleep in your bed and I can sleep in the guest room. He said, I ain't going no damn well, homie. So anyhow, going on from there, we see Jarvis headed over where he's actually parked in his car right now, but he's getting ready to head into this house that's on the corner, right? So he goes into this house. Well, he doesn't go in yet. He knocks on the door, and this young guy comes to the door. He looks very familiar. Now, the thing about recapping all of these shows, y'all, it's just so crazy because I just got finished looking at this guy a few weeks ago on another show that I'm recapping. What is that show called with Eva? All the Queen's Men. So I was like, damn, are you dead? But no, he's alive right here. So anyhow, going on from there, he goes in and he was like, hey, let me go get him for you. So I was like, well, who is he going to go get? So anyhow, this old guy comes out the back and he was like, come on out, Pop. So Pop comes out and he comes over and he introduces himself to Jarvis. So Jarvis is like, okay, what's good? He was like, well, can I offer you something to drink? Would you like to sit down? He was like, no, I prefer to stand. So anyhow, he was like, what do you want me to start? And old boy in the back is like, hey, just start from the top. Just tell him everything. So anyhow, he goes on to say that, he and his wife, Gloria, they met in high school. They were high school sweethearts. She got pregnant when he went on his 5th deployment. So he was in the military. And by the time he was going out for his 5th deployment, Gloria was pregnant. But he was able to make it back home right before his first child was born, which happened to be his son. And he believes his son to be Jarvis. All right. And of course, Jarvis has questions, so he goes through that whole little thing. And then Jarvis is like, well, what happened to Gloria? So Pop is like, look, truth be told, Gloria passed away on May the 29th. And it's crazy because that is Jarvis's birthday, May the 29th. So that messed him up as well. So that's pretty much how we ended this episode, y'all. Like I stated, this show kicked off with a bang. I'm glad to see the fellas are back. Let me know your thoughts down below. I'm getting ready to upload episode number 2 tomorrow. I was going to give them both to you tonight, but I've decided to spread them out. I also have Tyler Perry's sisters as well. So we got the bros over here, we got the sisters over here, all the Queens men, that's coming your way as well, and of course the average Joe. So I got 4 things that I'm dropping tomorrow, so be on the lookout for that. With that being said, I'm about to get up out of here. It is late. I appreciate you guys for listening to me. Until next time, peace.